Okay, the next step in your research is to take your sources and annotate them. This one's going to be pretty straightforward. If you'll notice, I've got a document here. See? Document camera, pretty cool. I've got a document I've printed out from ProQuest, hence the name ProQuest at the top. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be figuring out how do I cite this source. Now, if you'll notice, the document, this is a document that comes directly from ProQuest and also deals with Rwanda. If you'll notice, we got Rwanda right there. So, I found this source on ProQuest and I really like it, so I'm going to use it in my paper. What needs to happen is that we first read through the abstract, decide what we like. If you'll notice, the abstract ends right about here, and then we start the full text. So the full text starts there. It's a 2-page document. So how am I going to cite this? Well, I'm going to cite this using what's called an annotated bibliography. So an annotated bibliography is very similar to a regular bibliography with one big exception. It's got all the basic information that we need. As you'll see the document, I've got some quotes that I want to use that I've highlighted already. And so we go back down here and we look at our copyright information. We've got it here. That'll help us understand what we need to write down. We've also got, if we go down here, if you'll notice at the right underneath the title, I'm highlighting this. We've got even more citation information. So I'm going to go back over here to my document. And if you'll see, I take all of my information and I'm going to put it in a citation style. Now, in your book the other night, Writing History, you should have read how to cite it. I'm not going to spend any time here telling you how to cite this in terms of format. We're going to use in this class the Chicago style format, which is a little bit different than MLA, but it's just another way. So, if you'll notice, we've got author's name, date, we've got the title of the article, we've got the place where we found it. In this case, we found it in the Los Angeles Times, February 9th, and then what section it's in. So that's all there. Now, what makes an annotated bibliography different is this part underneath here. And thanks to Mr. Knopf for writing all this stuff out and annotating this source. What he did is he went through and he gave what was basically a summary. If you'll read through the summary he wrote here, it gives a very short, and it looks like it's only 3 or 4 sentences, explanation of the source. This is going to be really valuable later on when you have a bunch of sources that you're going to use and you can't remember exactly what they say. Instead of having to go through the entire source and find the facts or the information you need, you'll be able to go to your annotation and simply add it there. So an annotated bibliography gives the information about the source, which we find from the document, which you'll notice that I highlighted in my document that I printed out. And then we go back over here and we summarize the information. Now, notice what Mr. Knopf put in here. He put in Hilliard's article as an opinion piece. That's important too, because you're going to want to identify whether you've got sources that are opinions or summaries, because sometimes if you're writing basic facts down, you're not going to want to find an opinion piece for that because it's not going to be as valuable to you. If you'll notice, it says there it's an opinion piece. Also notice the second sentence. It says her article is largely in response to the trend in the media of labeling the genocide as a result of failures of U.S. and UN policy. That gives an idea of why she wrote it. That's an important thing. So when you're putting in your summary underneath it, the style of article and why they wrote it is an important part of what you put in your annotation. That'll give you information that you can use later in terms of getting a sense of what it is. So once you've got this, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to go back up to the top of the paper and you're going to type in a number. All of your sources are going to be numbered 1 through 10 in this case, in the case of this essay. So we're going to put in number 1 here And that will, number one will be the number of source I'm going to use. Now when we go back and write the essay, we're going to use this number if we quote or paraphrase anything. So that's the next step in writing this essay. And so after this, now we're going to bring this all together and look at how we use these sources and how we cite these sources in this essay.